Tyson. In there with a big man of 29. Just wiping down. He came in absolutely bouncing there with perspiration, Tyson, but that's some water. The dealer seemed to think. He says don't put too much grease on, to Kevin Rooney, the trainer.
Okay, Tyson, Thomas, you're going to box for 12 rounds. You know the rules of boxing. Avoid using any kinds of foul. Don't throw any punches during the break. Is that understood? Seconds come out, fighter.
So there we go then. The final words from the dealer. I doubt whether these boxers really hear any of those words. They've got other things on their mind. And there he is. The main man then in the fight game today, Mike Tyson. And Pinklon Thomas has a pole of a left-hand punch and he's going to need it. It's supposed to be a solid jab, a sort of prerequisite to throw a slugger off his stride. But can he stop this bull from coming in? Who's still burning for not looking good in his last fight with James Bone Crushers. And he's opening up at the start now, Mike Tyson. He does love those one-rounders. Thomas won't be found wanting when it comes to a bit of game. This has proved that in the past. He's only had one really poor fight when he lost his championship to Trevor Berbick. Very troubled, he said about that. And seemed to genuinely fancy his chance against Tyson, but that didn't sway the odds makers at 6-1 on Tyson. And what a start by this incredible young champion, the youngest in history. He really must have worked out in the dressing room now. This left hook there, he switches that well. So it doesn't look as though that left-hand jab that corner man Angelo Dundee has been telling Thomas to use is going to be much use to him. Now this is the Tyson we really know, isn't it? Trying to wipe out that memory of the Bone Crusher Smith waltz, and he's really laying it to Thomas at the start. The crowd loving it, Thomas hating it. 15 stone, 8 3/4 pounds of absolute mind, muscle, menace there, Tyson. Who's going to stop him midway through the first? Jim, what a fighter, Tyson.
Tremendous power he has, Reg. He doesn't pay anybody any respect whatsoever. He just comes straight through, pays no attention to what they're doing, and nothing that Thomas has shown so far is going to discourage him. Tyson's last two opponents are simply throws on the night with no belief in themselves. A lot depends on how much belief Thomas has tonight. But whatever they come in with, I think Tyson's putting a dent on that already.
Well, he's not going to get tangled up at close quarters in this fight, Tyson, as he did with Smith. He's going to learn to break the spider's web and not get entangled in it, and he's really unloading some terrific punches. And he'll do well to get over this round now, Pinklon Thomas. Well, you can talk a good fight, but when you get in with this fellow, you can throw all that out. As we get the countdown for the end of the first, can he hang in there for a while? As I said, he's got plenty of guts, Pinklon Thomas. He's standing up well, considering he's taken the full force of those punches. Well, a man, remember, who's 2 stone heavier than the great Rocky Marciano. 2 stone and over a stone heavier than Joe Frazier was. And he's in there, Padilla. He's making sure there's no after-bell punches this time. Well, is this man pleased to see that stool? Now, what's Angelo going to do now to pull him together?
Look up at me.
So the doctor's looking in the corner there, and Dundee is very upset by that. That's unusual, Jim, isn't it? Hasn't taken a knockdown, and a Flip Hermansky, the doctor, came in there.
Yeah,
have a look at that.
Yeah, well, he took a tremendous amount of punches bang on the chin. Every punch that Tyson throws is a jawbreaker, and Pinklon took quite a few of them clean on the chin. Obviously, the doctor was a bit concerned, but I don't think he did Pinklon's cause any good by come up and interrupting in the corners, because he needs every second in there he can get.
Well, the overhead look at that, and he really is tottering, but did well to stand up. Making sure he hasn't got too much grease on there, Thomas. And now he's shouting at the referee as we come out for round 2 there, the trainer.
As Thomas stood in the corner there.
Low punch there, Jim, sorry.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm just thinking he has the look of a man who's gone about 8 or 9 rounds instead of just one. The way he was looking as he came out of the corner.
Yeah, nobody knows the troubles he's seen on the face there as he came out. So now let's see if he's learned any lessons now, Tyson, on fighting in close like this. Because the big man's bone crusher leaned all over him, which made him, well, let's face it, look a bit ordinary, and he knew it. As he said, he wears black all the time, Tyson, because he likes to look the bad guy, although people who know him well say he certainly isn't outside the ring, and I agree with that. But inside, I tell you, this fella's an absolute terror. He's had 3 wins, Pinklon Thomas, since he lost his championship to Trevor Berbick, so he's on a winning roll, which is why he got the #1 position by the WBC. This is for both championships, but scheduled for 12 and not 15 rounds. Now, what's he wrestling for like this, Tyson, Jim? He could do without this.
Yeah, but I think every punch he throws is a knockout punch. He's simply waiting for the chance to let one go. He's never in any hurry. This is probably not worrying him too much. It's only the second round. And he knows he's trying to push Thomas off now, but Thomas is hanging on to him. Again, it's not really Tyson's fault, this kind of fight.
Well, there's Harry Gibbs from London. You can see there's one of the judges. But I would think he won't be needed. Thomas looked a bit sluggish in his last fight that I saw here against Danny Sutton. He won it. Well, I don't think he can play Matador too much with that left hand as the ball comes in. So he knows how to get inside punches, Tyson. Puts his head on the opponent's chest and bangs away. Hasn't really taken advantage of that first round absolute superiority, Jim.
No, he certainly dropped down a gear again. I don't know if that's his plan or it's just that when he gets up close, Thomas is grabbing hold of him. But as I said, he has plenty of time. Every punch he throws is a powerful punch, and sooner or later he obviously believes he's going to start getting through again.
Into round 3, and Pinklon Thomas did well to overcome that really disastrous start there. But remember this, when Tyson has had to go the full distance, he's won so clearly. That's the impressive part of him. Often punchers who go for 10 rounds and 12 rounds in this case as well, well, they can look pretty ordinary, but he's won clearly on those. So the referee's going to have to work a bit harder, pulling them apart.
Yeah, you can't really blame anyone for grabbing hold of Tyson inside, because nobody can compete with the strength or the power he can get into short punches. So any opponent that ends up getting close to him is going to grab hold of him.
It's a bit ridiculous, Jim, when you think in his home state of New York is too young to legally drink alcohol, and there he is now, the heavyweight champion of the world. Mind you, I wouldn't like to be the bloke that refused him. So looking at Thomas now, is he going to use this effective left-hand jab? Well, very severe warning there, Carlos Padilla, for watching heads. They can take mandatory points off for that now. So any success that Thomas has, the crowd are willing to cheer anyway. They want to be with the underdog at 6-1 on. Although Tyson, of course, is an immense favourite right across the States. And indeed now in Europe.
See a little bit of blood in Thomas's eyebrow. I think that clash of heads This looks like a slight little nick, but I can see a little bit of blood.
Yeah, Padilla looked at that a long time, actually. Well, we said he'd have to work hard there, the referee, and it looks as though he's going to.
What's your head?
Trouble with Thomas, Jimmy, boxes open to mouth. There's a sort of distressed look about him, even when he's winning.
Yeah, I don't think he'll want to get caught in the chin by Tyson when his mouth is open. But it's possible that in that first round, Thomas was shocked with the power that Tyson had, because he's managed to get himself back into it a little bit more since then. He just didn't seem to know what hit him in that first round.
The crowd don't like it now. They're remembering Tyson and Bone Crusher, and they don't want that.
No, he's butting the heck out of you. He's going to go, but nail him. But go first. Don't lay in the clinches. I want you to go first out of everything, okay? Guy's bum's getting desperate. He's trying to butt the heck out of you, you know what I mean? It's all right. I want you to go first with everything. If he comes jumping at you, go for him.
You're here. I'm saying here. You guys got to do it. You understand?
Let's have a look at this now. They're complaining about the head coming in a bit, Jim.
Well, being that he is short and he's got to get inside, he obviously, even whether he's meaning it or not, he is a little bit dangerous with the head.
Round 4. Few fighters that said they could beat Tyson, but none have baited him in the way that Thomas did early on in the initial press conferences. So I think Tyson came in with a little bit of needle in the belly there. Oh, right over the back of the head. It's just as well for Thomas that.
See, Tyson's going to have to throw punches on the way in. If he moves into a clinch, then his opponents are grabbing hold of him and stopping him working. He's going to have to punch as he moves in. He's leaving it that second or so too late.
Well, his trainer says he's still at college as far as professional boxing goes, and he's right. But of course, you've got to judge him as a champion, Jim. That's the point, not as a learner.
Yeah, well, I would say that's his problem at the moment. He's moving in before he lets the punches go. He wants to let the punches go as he's moving in.
I suppose Thomas is hoping that Tyson might punch himself out a little bit. He likes the idea of people who have taken him distance, but they've all been 6'5", and he does have trouble with tall fighters. He's supposed to be 5'11", Tyson, but there's often a dispute about that. He certainly doesn't appear it now. So it looks as though he's got to work a bit hard for his money. He's had to work to get in shape for this. $2.5 million there, Tyson. Well, Mug's game, you tell that to Tyson. He didn't even finish school and now has bought his first Rolls Royce. We were never sure what kind of Pinklon Thomas would come in tonight. He's had one or two off nights. He's had brilliant times, had a few troubles, and admitted to being a drug addict at one time and speaks openly about it. into the 5th. Tyson's corner man there, Kevin Rooney, saying you're not using your left jab at all, and he wants him to. But I've got my doubts whether he can actually out-jab Pinklon Thomas. That's his best punch. There it is there, you see, trying to match him with it. What a chance for Thomas, though, almost out of nowhere he got this to get back to number 1, $650,000. The cheap end of the purse, but enough. It's just that bit of rawness showing with Tyson at times, Jim, a little bit of subtlety is missing.
Yeah, well, a few times he has been taken into the later stages, and it's simply because his technique is a little bit lacking, but normally he makes up for it with the power he has. But you can see he's short of ideas here. It's time now to do something else. I think Thomas is getting used to these lunges and the punches that are coming his way, and he knows what's coming now. So Tyson now has to think of something else, maybe show a feint to try to draw Thomas's lead and come back with counters of his own, but he's a little bit short on ideas tonight.
There's Tyson trying to use the left jab now. That's to break up the opponent's concentration with that a bit before he throws the heavy stuff. Although I should think those left jabs hurt enough. Doesn't stop saying watch the head, Jim, the referee, does he? I think he might take a point away from Tyson.
Well, he was just a little bit dangerous a couple of seconds ago.
Well, he certainly was there, but not with his head.
See, I think we've come to expect so much from Tyson now, and when he's not getting his punches home, we tend to criticise him. But we have to remember that not so long ago, Pinklon Thomas was regarded as the best heavyweight in the world. Just he wasn't paying attention. He is a top-class fighter.
What's the matter? He's getting tired. He's getting tired.
So there's the size of this man's neck bolted onto those brawny shoulders there. In fact, when somebody said, Ray, will you make a comeback, Ray Leonard? He said, well, I could always fight Mike Tyson's neck. That must weigh 160 pounds. Have a look at some replay there, Jim, with the jabs coming in.
Yeah, see, that was the head again. He was a little bit dangerous with the head that time. That's when the Dia warned him.
So they're having to change the glove here now. This is the Henry Cooper, Muhammad Ali scene all over again. So they are really whispering the words of wisdom there, isn't he, Rooney? He doesn't want the world and his brother to hear. So the master of ceremonies announced to the audience there that the glove had torn and had to be replaced. And it's always good to know they've got the spare gloves on hand. Into the 6th. Well, Tyson tasted a bit of leather with the glove on the left hand. I wonder what the new one's going to do. Thomas has been saying that using the solid left lead like that is a sort of key to the door, and that opens everything up for him, but he just hasn't been able to hold this fellow off enough.
Okay, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up.
And all sorts of advice now coming from outside the ring. And I suspect from a young lady, an actress Robin Gibbons, who stars in Head of the Class, who's actually dating Tyson at the moment. See, now the crowd have booing there, Jim, a bit unfairly, because they're fighting inside, and that proved it. And then they immediately switched to cheers there.
Yeah, well, just as I said, by Tyson's own standards, this is kind of calm stuff. They expect to see the dynamite all the time.
Oh, he got the job done there. I think he must have heard you there, Jim. What a peach of a left hook that was. And he's going to do it in the sixth because he's only midway through. And this is the way he finishes him off now. The master of the finishing stuff. What a fighter. Absolute ferocious. And what a game man. He took every punch in the book there, Pinklon Thomas. He is not going to make this in the sixth round. And your heart goes out with him. The embarrassment of him being knocked out like that with all the heart in the world. He can't control the legs. But what a tremendous finish there by the Iron Man himself. He's following the loser over to the corner. Once the bell's gone and it's all over, he's the most compassionate guy in the world. Great supporter of kids' charities here. But I tell you, he really is some guy in the ring. What a finish, Jim.
It has to be, without doubt, the best finisher in the game today. One good solid punch get through, shook Thomas up a little bit, and then over they came. Every punch was meant to nail him to the floor, and eventually over he went. A tremendous finish from Tyson.
There's manager Jim Jacobs there, just whispering in his ear, you can make a few more million ton. Well done. It's a very close-knit corner there, and there's two doctors of the Nevada State Commission working there in Pinklon Thomas's corner. Well, what a fighter, and I emphasise yet again, Jim, 20 years old, and here's the finish.
See, once he gets the opponent in trouble, every punch that comes over is a finisher. It's a cracking uppercut, and set to come in with the rest.
And we look at another angle. I mean, his head almost departs the shoulders there, Jim, doesn't it? He's just got no chance. And what a brave guy. He took some really hard punches before he went down. Look at that, absolute on the button. And you knew he went down there, his head flopped like Wurzel gummies there, and he couldn't get up. Jim?
Yeah, every single punch from all angles, and he gets full power into everyone. That was a signal, the punch that came up the way, and then overcome the left hook, and that was all over for the night.
And once again there, this overhead shot now, you can see the real ferocity of this man in action. So here's Tyson's reaction then, and he's talking to my colleague Larry Merchant.
Mike, until the end, that was tougher than it was supposed to be. Was it tougher than you thought it would be?
Good fight, man. Good fight.
Good fight.
It's my pleasure to give you a shot at the title. You deserve it.
Answer the question. Let me start again. It looked like it was much tougher than it was supposed to be up until the end.
Of course, but you know, I saw him something in previous fights, he would get tired. And I said, if I knock him out early when he's tired, he won't have no defense, and it'll be spectacular. And I knew he would get tired somewhere around the 7th round, because I saw him the last two fights, he was gasping for a little air.
You said before the previous round that you thought he was getting
I
tired.
knew he was getting tired.
But he seemed to establish his jab pretty well and frustrate you quite a bit while you were trying to box with him in those rounds.
But as you know, I was getting my jab off too. And as you know, he has a great jab, like everyone knows. You know, and he's a great fighter. And I feel I'm the best fighter in the world because I beat the best fighter in the world. Everybody gave him the regard.
Do you feel he was the second best heavyweight out there?
Absolutely. Now I proved it.
When Kevin said to you before the round, start throwing punches with mean intention, it sounded to me like he was really saying, forget that jab I've been telling you to throw all this time.
No. He wanted me to use the jab, but I was trying to convince him, which is my fault, and I should never do that. He was getting tired. And I said, give me one more round. Give me one more round. And I'll do whatever you say.
Okay. Mike, let's take a look at the knockout sequence of punches. You describe it for us.
Well, I saw I could sneak the uppercut in there. And I was just working it to the body, to the head. I saw it was hurt. and I just put everything together. He was tough, but I said, I'm going to put him together. And as you see, I'm putting him together, boom.
You hit him some decent shots up to then. Were you surprised that he took them as well
No,
as he did?
I saw him fight Weaver, and Weaver's the greatest knockout puncher around when he was fighting. And he